Hello to this early episode of MtM Vegas. Mark's on vacation this week, so we recorded a little bit early. And we also have a lot of news to cover regarding COVID. A lot of you have reached out to ask what we think, what's the latest going on with COVID, and we'll let you know as there's certain casinos requiring masks again for employees and different testing requirements. What's the latest with that? Plus, there's shortages of gasoline, shortages of linens, shortages of a lot of things happening in Vegas. The experience hasn't been so great this week. We'll catch you up on all of that. More stuff happening as well. Circus Circus putting in more coin slots. That's a good thing in my opinion. The Paris has ripped out their Diamond/Laurel lounge. Find out what's going to replace it. Kind of sad to see that going. And finally, the World Series of Poker is moving in 2022. We got semi-confirmation of that. Find out where it's going to go. All of that plus even more coming up right now. If you like this show, don't forget to thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We love to discuss all of that stuff with you. And don't forget the MtM Vegas Happy Hour coming on July 28th with Bethany Walsh from Bougie Miles. That's going to be our monthly live stream where we have a lot of fun, discuss Vegas, have a few drinks along the way. Don't miss it. July 28th at 5 p.m. Vegas time, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel. Now, let's hit it. So Mark, I'm back in my studio, back in Vegas, landed here yesterday, had an amazing time in Michigan as we talked about, and it was great seeing you and getting the families together. And I landed and we find out that things have changed quite a bit in the week since we had left, including gas shortages and pool chemical shortages and linen shortages, and we're going to talk about all of that stuff. But I know a lot of people had been asking and writing about COVID, like what's happening with COVID, because there was some news this week that the Southern Nevada Health District changed their guidance to recommend that people, whether you're vaccinated or not, wear masks indoors in crowded areas. This isn't a mandate. It's just a sort of suggestion. And then some of the casinos have told their employees that they're going to have to wear masks. Venetian, Palazzo, the Westgate. So that's the place we should first start is COVID. Do you think that we're going back to full mask mandates here? What is your take on all this?
Yeah, that's, well, I'll first say, you leave Michigan and it's sunny now. So
yeah, thanks for that rain. Thanks for all that rain.
Yeah, I think it rained like 4 out of the 6 days or whatever you're here type of thing. But it's been a weird summer for that. But yeah, I don't know it's tough to say. This is what I've said all along, why I thought it would take longer for airlines and public transportation to drop the mask mandate, which it's set to come up in September, but I doubt that it will actually be dropped at that point. I think it will be pushed out further. I think you're going to see spikes in the fall, but once you take that, you let it out of Pandora's box, you're kind of stuck with it. Like you can't tell people no masks and then go back to masks. I don't think they're going to listen, and you're just going to have an issue with that. So I think it will be encouraged. I don't think there will be a mask mandate in Vegas. I could see casino employees being forced to wear them, restaurants maybe having seating situations again where they go to reduced capacity, that type of stuff, which is basically reduced capacity now because they can't get anybody to work anyway. So that's not really any difference as far as the capacity they're working with at this point. But I could see those type of things. I just don't know if people would listen to a mask mandate. I think it would be a real struggle. But you never know. If it gets real bad, it's a possibility. But I would put my money on no.
And again, we're not speaking to the politics of this. We'll let other people decide that. We're just talking about what we think is going to happen. And I tend to agree with you. Governor Sisolak turned over control over these sorts of policies to local governments. And that means that the kind of local government's in charge of that. And based on their guidance, it doesn't seem like they're going to require it anytime soon. But you probably will see the casinos require all their employees to wear masks pretty soon. I think Venetian Palazzo started it off. We'll probably see all of them follow suit this week. Another thing that's happening, MGM is requiring their employees to do something a little bit different who are not vaccinated. They've been kind of allowing unvaccinated people to not be treated too differently. Now they're going to require them to pay for their own tests. They're going to require scheduled testing. And until that goes into effect, they're going to be doing random tests. And no paid time off if you haven't been vaccinated and you test positive. You'll have to quarantine, but you'll have to pay for it yourself. So they're really putting the pressure on their employees to get vaccinated. Let's put it that way. We know that they don't want these restrictions. We know that they don't want any intervention from the governments. Again, I agree with you. I don't think that we will see a mask mandate in Las Vegas, but we may see further restrictions if the cases continue to spread. And I know a lot of people are concerned about that. And, you're talking about all these shortages. The experience here hasn't been all that great. We're seeing people on Twitter just talk about how terrible it's been. You made a joke before the show about, you can't get housekeeping, the pools are dirty, there's no gas anywhere. So yeah, Vegas is, you've said this many times on the show, Vegas is not 100% back, and it seems like it's getting even worse. More people are coming. They're still not being able to staff up, and now they're not even able to wash the sheets before you stay in the room.
Yeah. And, back to the MGM thing with them requiring testing and stuff for unvaccinated. I could see that happening at other casinos. You see that just in the workforce. I have a friend that has to test every day, like at the place he works at. If you're unvaccinated, you have to test every day and show your negative test in order to not wear a mask while you're working, type of thing. So that's nothing different. I have another buddy that's a headhunter, and basically everybody that is listing a job says you have to be vaccinated to be hired. Like that's a lot of the requirements, or a lot of the places he's working with are requiring that. So, it seems harsh in one hand, and then on the other hand, it's kind of happening everywhere. So it doesn't surprise me. And I think that you'll see that with other employers in Vegas and elsewhere, type of thing, especially, with the vacation, the sick time and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. If they lose anybody because of it, what happens with that. But yeah. And then in terms of the experience, yeah, unless you like swimming in pea water and you don't want to look at your sheets with a black light because you don't know what's going to be on them. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. You look at reviews and people still have the expectation that it's going to be Vegas. And, we're one of the few people that are saying it's not Vegas. If you want to go, you'll still have fun. But you have to understand that it's going to be a struggle. And that's basically anywhere you go, any town you go visit, any place you travel to, you're going to have struggles. So it just is what it is right now.
Yeah, it's a good point. Travel right now just isn't the same. And if you love to travel, then you need to be aware of these things. And I know I've heard a lot of people asking whether they should plan a trip to Vegas. I obviously had been in Vegas a lot during COVID with the masks. You had been in Vegas many times with masks over the last year. I still think you should plan a trip if you're comfortable with the safety and with COVID itself. That's obviously a personal decision, but I would not plan a trip based around the masks. I would not plan a trip based around not having housekeeping, based around waiting hours to get into a restaurant, based around all of that stuff. The mask for me would be a secondary consideration, although I know for people at table games, that's a big deal. Right now, again, for guests, still masks are not required. And I know that Vegas is going to do everything it can to keep that from happening, but it's still a possibility. But if I was planning a trip, I would worry more about the logistics and it not being fun because of that than the mask. And I probably because I feel like the mask is probably not coming back for guests, but anything could happen. But yeah,
pack your own sheets. Just pack your own sheets when you go.
Exactly. Pack your own sheets. Bring a gas can if you're going to rent the car.
If you can find, you can't even rent a car. Just bring a car.
Yeah, that's true. You can't rent a car. We covered that. And the reason that there is all these shortages, at least on gas, is because there's no truck drivers to bring the gas. Apparently, there's plenty of gas sitting at the refineries, just nobody to drive the trucks to bring them here. I don't know if that's a case all throughout the West Coast. I don't think we saw those issues on the East Coast over in Michigan when I was there. But yeah, it's just another kind of crazy thing that's popping up with COVID, and it'll probably settle itself fairly quickly. But I landed yesterday and we stopped at a convenience store to get something to drink and walked right in, and right there on the doors, at that particular station, there was no mid-grade or premium. They still had regular, but all the Sam's Clubs, I believe, around town are completely sold out. And a lot of the stations are just completely sold out as we drove down the street. So it is real. There is no gas.
It's amazing how much people wait in line to save the 30 cents at Costco and stuff, and now they're out of gas. So I can only imagine what the lines were like as people were trying to get the last bit out of those places. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what's going on with the chemicals. Maybe it's just a manufacturing issue that they can't get them, and they're not able to wash the sheets enough and running out of chemicals for that too. But definitely stay away from the pools maybe, or be cautious in them. Particularly at places like Link that are known to be party pits that people don't ever leave the pool. and occasionally will throw up into the pool. You see that report often. I mean, it's not going to get cycled through or cleaned as quickly anymore these days. So be cautious. If you're going for a pool trip, you might want to look elsewhere. Go somewhere else for a pool that has chemicals and can clean it, for at least for the time being. Who knows how long it will be like this, but that's kind of crazy. One thing you would never expect to have an issue with is pool chemicals.
Yeah, I know we have a pool at my house, and our pool guy has had to raise the prices because he includes the chemicals in the servicing, and he said his costs have gone up astronomically. So I think that's across the board. And one last point, because we definitely want to move on, is the housekeeping. I stayed in a lot of hotels, and housekeeping just across the board isn't as good as it's been. So in Vegas, yes, you may never get your room cleaned, but the person cleaning your room in between guests may not be doing as good a job, to your point of using a black light. If you really are sensitive to like dirt in the rooms, or just being in a room where every little nook and
Or a
cranny is
pill,
clean.
like Rick found
Yeah,
found a pill to
yeah.
Ibiza.
Or
Took a bit.
in Tampa, my hotel in Tampa, I found a couple jelly beans on the floor. I found some interesting things. And so if you're really worried about clean hotel rooms, this may not be the best time. I mean, these housekeeping staffs are overworked. There's not enough of them, and the training isn't there either. They're getting people who haven't traditionally done this, and it's just sort of a mess. So keep that in mind as well. And if you want to learn how to check with the light, Mark has his video about checking for bed bugs. We show you exactly how to do that. To which my wife is horrified. Says, "Why would he want to look under the bed? What happens if he finds something there?"
Then you don't bring them home. Oh, funny side story. I did this a year, 2 years ago. Arby's ran a contest where you could win a trip to Hawaii for $6, and like two, three, 400,000 people tried to get in, and I was one of the 10 people that won. So there's an article on the site. We'll put in the show notes about that experience. But while I was staying in LA before we took the flight out to Honolulu, I lifted up the bed to check for bed bugs, and I found a box of unused condoms under there. So you never know what you're going to find underneath the mattress. So that's kind of like kind of like a scavenger hunt in and of itself. But yeah, I found a big bottle of pills too, which who puts them under a mattress? I don't know, but you do find some stuff there. It's very strange.
What is it that they say? Ignorance is bliss. I
Yes,
don't.
true. Until they come home with you.
Yeah, that's true when it comes to bed bugs. And I've known a few people. Yeah, you don't want that. All right, let's talk about happier things. And nothing makes me happier than hearing coins hitting a hopper in a casino, because you just don't hear it very often. And on the channel, I had highlighted the coin slots at Circus Circus. They have a bank of dollar slot machines kind of near their main entrance, and it's really popular. And word came this week that they're installing even more machines, even more coin machines, 25-cent machines this time. So if you like coins, I think that's really the only place on the strip itself that has coin machines. There's quite a few casinos downtown, like El Cortez, that still have quite a few coin machines. But good to see this. I think it adds a lot of atmosphere, a lot of energy, and Circus Circus trying to differentiate itself from its new neighbor, who is all cashless all the time. Well, they still have tickets, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's always fun. When I first started going to casinos around here, you can go at 18 to the Indian Reserve casinos. So we made a trip. I was the last one to turn 18. We drove out there, and they had the big buckets, the plastic buckets that you'd scoop all your coins into. And we always kept a few buckets. We take them home, to store knickknacks or, to hold change in the car and stuff. So it was always a fun experience. Your hands were disgusting. And who knows, now we're in a pandemic, touching coins and stuff, you're like, whoa, that's really weird. But it is fun to hear it, hit the metal hopper, and it just it gets exciting when you're cashing out and you hear that for a couple minutes of all this money flowing out. Even if it's the amount that you bought in for, you feel like you won. So it's cool that they're adding it. I wish more people would bring it back, but I'll definitely have to check it out. Not a place I normally go, but for that, it's worth popping in, especially if you're at Resorts World. It's just down the street.
Yeah, Circus Circus just next door to Resorts World. It's good to see them adding a little bit of money to do some new stuff. Although, admittedly, these machines are probably cheap. They're probably getting ripped out of other casinos, and so a good cheap way for them to differentiate themselves. And I can't wait to see if they actually renovate that place, what it might look like if they spend a little bit of money there. And speaking of renovations, Mark, did you see this tweet that I sent you about the Paris Laurel Lounge / Diamond Lounge? And there had been rumors that it's going to be turning into a Vanderpump Garden, something similar to what is at Caesars, probably a different concept or name, but certainly owned by Lisa Vanderpump, which I know you love. Good old Lisa Vanderpump. But yeah, the pictures came out, and the Diamond Lounge at Paris is gone. Bye.
Yeah, my wife and I watch Vanderpump Rules, so we always were interested in the. She always comes up with great concepts, and the bars, restaurants she does are always really high end and have a cool flair to them. So I do like the cocktail garden, so I'm excited to see what this becomes. It's sad that a Laurel Lounge is leaving for sure, but it sounds like they might not ever come back, or if they do, it's going to be really reduced. So, if they're going to rip it out, why not put something cool in it? And that location really is probably the best location. A lot of the lounges are upstairs or down hallways or kind of hidden, and that one was like right in the middle of the action, right when you walk through the corridor between Bally's and Paris. So it really is a great position for a restaurant or a bar or something like that. So knowing that at least it will be used for something is cool, and the fact that it's going to be one of her properties is nice. It's probably going to be amazing, whatever it ends up being. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, this is not good news for people who love the lounges because it just means that management has looked at how they best can utilize those spaces. And to your point, hopefully we do get back some lounges or in some capacity. And some of the locations, like the one at Planet Hollywood or even the one at Caesar's Palace, they're kind of out of the way and not in a prime time location where you would want to put a high end venue. But this one is right off the casino floor next to the lobby.
Like that plus Harris. So I think like half of them will stay just because what else are you going to do with that area? But
yeah, so hopefully we do get them back. But if I was buying a company like Eldorado did to Caesars, and I was trying to figure out how to maximize square footage in high density areas, this would be the first venue I would probably take out. So it makes perfect sense. But yeah, you can see in the picture exactly how it lines up to the lounge. I can see exactly what they've done to it, ripping out the stuff, and a little bit sad about that, but new times ahead. And it's just a good reminder, as we've talked about so many times, Caesars Entertainment has a new owner and they are making big changes, and that company will look very different in the end, and so will their properties after all of that. Which brings us to the next thing, which is the World Series of Poker is probably moving to Bally's in Paris in 2021. It's going to happen at Rio this year, as it has for many years. But there was some confirmation from this pool association that usually has their tournament at Bally's, and they basically said they're moving to Westgate because they got evicted for next year to make room for World Series of Poker. And so that's probably going to happen, not confirmed, although it wouldn't be a surprise. The owners of the Rio have said that they're going to start their redevelopment soon. Caesars has a contract to manage it, I think, through December of this year, and that'll probably turn over to the new owners at that point, where Hyatt will start kind of moving in to make the renovations and change that property. So, yeah, I mean, World Series of Poker, of course, downtown for a long time.
Something leaving Caesars is now good news. It used to be bad news, but now it's good news.
There you go. It's all about how you spin it.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it if they revamp that property. One, we're both Hyatt fanboys, so that's cool that they're going to have a couple different Hyatt, and I'm guarantee you that it'll probably be nicer than the Conrad and Crockfords and all that from Hilton. Even though that was supposed to be high end, it doesn't look high end. So I'm looking forward to checking out those hotels and then to see how they redo the gaming floor, because that was always like a cool draw for there, and it's just gotten dated. So I'm interested to see what Rio becomes, and then maybe they'll have a really good players club, which I'm open for business. I'm looking for a new spot, so I'll keep trying different areas and see where I land to put my gaming dollars. So I'm looking forward to it.
Did you gamble a decent amount at Resorts World? Have you gotten any offers in their app or anything from them at all?
No, I to be honest, I haven't opened the app, so I don't know if there's anything in there, but I didn't gamble a ton. I put maybe like an hour in of play at a table game. I mean, my average of bet was probably pretty decent, but I just didn't put the time in. We didn't have it when we were there, so I didn't focus a lot of energy on it. The plan was when I was going to go there and stay in September, I was going to, put a long session in and kind of see what I can get out of it. But after seeing those pictures that we shared last week, I actually canceled my reservation there. I'm not going to pay a premium to go to Crockford's and have it look like a Conrad that isn't all that great in the first place. So I took advantage of a deal we have through Amex Platinum Card. You get a $200 credit a year for fine hotels and resorts. So we booked at Four Seasons for the night to check that out. Going full fancy, then moved down to the Waldorf with my free nights. So, I'll have those to report on. I get to stay at Four Seasons before you do, so I'm excited for that.
Are you sure about that? I could always just go book and go stay. No, I don't
No,
have plans.
pretend I didn't say that.
No, I don't have plans to stay there, and I won't get there before you do. I have stayed at the Waldorf. It's nice, and good to see you getting that upgrade. Definitely think Four Seasons is a big upgrade over Crockford's.
Yeah, and this will be my first time going to Vegas and not staying at a gaming property, and we're doing it at 2 different ones. So that will be a unique experience for me, not something I've ever done. So I'll be curious to see, like, does it change, the vibe of Vegas for me? Do I find it more relaxing? Do I miss, having the casino right there? So stuff to report in the future for sure. But I feel like it'll be a different trip than I'm used to, which will be interesting.
Well, I think Four Seasons, I mean, it still has the Mandalay Bay Casino, so I still consider that a gaming property.
True.
Waldorf, you really are separated out there, so you have to walk outside to do it. But either way, you're still close, and I think you might like it because you have these separate kind of areas that are not gaming. You're not kind of bombarded with the casino. You have nice, quiet places to go. So I can't wait to hear on the Four Seasons, which I've heard great things about. And it's probably the last of the high-end hotels in Vegas I haven't stayed at. So I do need to get over there. But since it means so much to you, Mark, I'll wait till after you come in September. So
I'm sure you'll come over and film it while I'm there anyway. So you'll still get to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. And our last story is just because we're kind of a similar age, late 30s, early 40s. Boy bands were popular when we were kind of coming into adulthood. Nothing more popular than NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. And the Venetian's bringing a residency with Boyz II Men, Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC members, including like Joey Fatone and Nick Carter. Joey Fatone looking a little old these days, but I forgive him. It's kind of cool. August 19th through 22nd. I think AJ from Backstreet Boys, Wanya Morris from Boyz II Men, and the other two. It's going to be fun.
What's the deal with Vegas calling all these things residencies when it's like a 4-day or 2-week? I think of residency like a Celine Dion where she's there all year round, multiple days a week type of thing, or Wayne Newton type of thing. Like, I don't know if that just makes it seem better than it is, and that's the new term they use, but I never understood that. Residency to me means you're going to be there, not, a limited time event.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably not a residency. I don't even know if they use that. Maybe I used that term and I shouldn't have, but I'm not seeing it on the flyer.
They did it, like Resorts World did it for like, Miley Cyrus and stuff, and like Carrie Underwood. They're not going to be there all year. It's not like a full-time thing. Maybe they'll be like coming back several times throughout the year, but it just doesn't seem like, I think of residency in Vegas as like those pillars that are always there type of thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. So I'm excited for this show, though. It seems like it's a custom show, the after party they're calling it. And hopefully we get more of these sort of one-off shows where they bring in some interesting people. And it's just another way that Venetian and Wynn is doing this with some of their comedy shows. They're trying different forms of entertainment as they reemerge from COVID, especially before all these big sort of shows get back online. So some interesting opportunities here if you're coming to Vegas. And if you're wondering why our show this week is a little early, we wanted to cover the COVID news because we've gotten a lot of questions about what was going on with COVID, what we thought. And also, Mark is on vacation this week, so he was nice enough to record this a little bit early so we can do that. And then we will be back next week in our normal slot, a Thursday, Friday release. So it'll be about a week and a half before we have another one of these videos. But we definitely appreciate you guys watching and listening. I know Mark's going to be enjoying his vacation and all that has to offer. So
yeah, hopefully I come back pretty tan next week. So that's my goal. Lots of beach time, lots of water time, lots of beer time. That's the key.
Sounds like a plan. Well, that's going to do it for us show this week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about any of this stuff. I'll be in the comments this week answering any questions that you guys have. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
See you next week.